The smell of gasoline mixed with sweat hung in the air as Fatus wiped his bloodied knuckles on his torn jeans. 3 years had passed since that night, but the memory burned as fresh as the scars on his back. His younger brother Marcus lay in a hospital bed for 6 months before he finally opened his eyes, and when he did, he couldn't remember his own name. The doctors said he might never be the same. Fatus made a promise that day, standing in that sterile white room with machines beeping around him. He would find every single person responsible, and they would pay for what they did. If you want to see how far one man will go when justice fails him, hit that subscribe button because this story will leave you speechless. The streets of Chicago's South Side taught Fatus everything he needed to know about survival. Born to a single mother who worked 3 jobs just to keep food on the table, he learned early that the world didn't owe him anything. His father disappeared before he turned 5, leaving behind nothing but empty beer cans and unpaid bills. But Fatus had Marcus, his little brother who was born when he was 7 years old. That kid became his whole world. He walked Marcus to school every morning, helped him with homework every night, and made sure no one messed with him in the neighborhood. They shared a tiny bedroom in their mother's apartment, dreaming about the day they'd make enough money to move her somewhere safe. Everything changed on a humid August night in 2018. Fatus was working late at the auto shop, trying to save up for community college classes. Marcus, then 15, was supposed to be at home studying for his algebra test. Instead, he went to meet some friends at the corner store. Wrong place, wrong time. A group of older guys from the West Side Disciples rolled up looking for members of a rival gang. They didn't care that Marcus wasn't involved in any of that. They saw a young kid in the wrong colored shirt, and that was enough. The beating was brutal. They left him bleeding on the concrete while people watched from their windows, too scared to come outside. Fatus got the call at midnight from a police officer whose voice sounded too tired to care. He ran 7 blocks to the hospital, his lungs burning, his mind racing through every horrible possibility. When he saw Marcus lying there with tubes coming out of his body and bandages wrapped around his head, something broke inside him. The doctors talked about internal bleeding, fractured skull, potential brain damage. His mother collapsed in the hallway, sobbing into her hands. Fatus stood there numb, watching his baby brother fight for his life because of senseless violence that had nothing to do with him. The police investigation went nowhere fast. Detective Rodriguez seemed sympathetic at first, promising they'd find who did this. But weeks turned into months, and nothing happened. The witnesses were too afraid to talk. The gang members had alibis that didn't hold up but couldn't be broken. The case went cold before Marcus even woke up from his coma. Detective Rodriguez stopped returning calls. The system had failed them, just like it failed countless others in neighborhoods where life was cheap and justice was a luxury. Fatus realized if he wanted answers, if he wanted revenge, he'd have to get it himself. He started asking questions in places the police never bothered to look. Old barbershops where men traded stories over checkers. Late-night diners where information flowed as freely as the coffee. Underground clubs where the city's underbelly came to play. Fatus learned how to listen, how to read between the lines, how to make people trust him enough to share what they knew. He worked his day job at the auto shop and spent his nights becoming someone else entirely. Someone patient. Someone dangerous. Someone who wouldn't stop until he had names, faces, and locations. The first name he got was Raymond Ray Washington, a lieutenant in the West Side Disciples with a reputation for violence. Word on the street said Ray ordered the hit that night, mistaking Marcus for someone else. Fatus spent 3 weeks learning Ray's routine, where he ate breakfast every morning at the same greasy spoon, which gym he used every Tuesday and Thursday, what time he left his girlfriend's apartment in Hyde Park. Fatus wasn't just gathering information. He was preparing for something he never thought he'd become capable of doing. On a cold November morning, Fatus followed Ray into the parking garage beneath his girlfriend's building. The space was empty except for their footsteps echoing off concrete walls. Ray didn't see him coming until it was too late. Fatus had a tire iron from the shop, and he used it to make sure Ray understood exactly why this was happening. He whispered Marcus's name with each blow, watching recognition and fear flash across Ray's face. But Fatus didn't kill him. Death would have been too easy, too quick. Instead, he made sure Ray would spend months in the hospital just like Marcus did, experiencing the same pain, the same uncertainty, the same fear. The police came asking questions, but Fatus had an alibi. He was at work, signed in on the timesheet, with coworkers who remembered seeing him. The security cameras in the garage had mysteriously malfunctioned that morning. Ray couldn't identify his attacker because Fatus wore a mask and attacked from behind. The investigation stalled just like Marcus's case had. Fatus felt no guilt, only the cold satisfaction of one debt partially paid. But Ray was just the first name on his list. There were 4 others who participated in that beating, and he planned to find them all. Marcus came home from the hospital different. He had to relearn how to walk properly, how to speak without slurring his words, how to control his temper when frustration overwhelmed him. The bright kid who loved math and wanted to be an engineer was gone, replaced by someone who struggled to remember what he ate for breakfast. Their mother aged 10 years in those months, her hair turning gray, her eyes losing their light. Fatus watched his family crumble while the people responsible walked free, and that fury kept him going through the dark nights when doubt crept in. The second target was easier because Marcus himself provided the information. On one of his good days, when his memory seemed clearer, Marcus remembered a tattoo. A snake wrapped around a dagger on someone's forearm. That detail led Fatus to Antonio Trigger Mendez, known for that exact tattoo and known for being Ray Ray's right hand. Trigger was smarter than Ray Ray, more careful, harder to catch alone. He traveled with at least 2 other guys, always watching his back, always aware of his surroundings. Fatus had to get creative. He found Trigger's weakness through a girl named Jasmine who worked at a nail salon. She had a thing for Trigger, and Trigger had a thing for showing off. Fatus approached her carefully, using charm instead of threats, making her think he was just another guy interested in her. She mentioned that Trigger came to the salon every other Friday to pick her up after work. She mentioned how he always parked in the back alley because he liked to keep his car out of sight. She had no idea she was handing Fatus exactly what he needed. That Friday, Fatus waited in the shadows of that alley with more than just a tire iron this time. He learned from the first attack that he needed to be faster, more efficient, more brutal. When Trigger walked to his car, whistling some rap song and checking his phone, Fatus moved like a ghost. The attack lasted less than 2 minutes but left Trigger unconscious with multiple broken bones and a message carved into the hood of his precious Cadillac. The message was simple: Marcus remembers. The streets started talking. 2 high-ranking Westside disciples attacked within weeks of each other. People connected the dots even if they didn't say it out loud. The gang started looking for whoever was hunting them, but they were looking for a rival gang, another organization with resources and manpower. They never suspected a guy who worked at an auto shop, who kept his head down, who seemed to mind his own business. Fatus used their assumptions against them, staying invisible while he tracked his next target. Number 3 was James J.J. Thompson, the youngest of the group but arguably the most vicious. J.J. grew up in foster care, bouncing between abusive homes, and that childhood turned him into someone who hurt others before they could hurt him. He was only 19 when he participated in Marcus's beating, just 4 years older than Marcus himself. Fatus found him through gym connections. J.J. was training to be a boxer, spending hours at a rundown gym near Garfield Park, hitting bags like they owed him money. Fatus joined the same gym, pretending to be interested in getting in shape. He watched J.J. for weeks, learning his patterns, his friends, his habits. J.J. talked big about his future, about going pro, about leaving the gang life behind. He had talent too, real raw power in his punches. But Fatus felt no sympathy. This kid put his brother in a coma, and no amount of sad backstory could erase that. Talent and potential meant nothing when you used your fists to nearly kill an innocent person. The opportunity came after a late-night training session. J.J. liked to run home through the park, cutting through dark paths to build his endurance. Fatus intercepted him near the lake where no one would see or hear. This time was different though. When J.J. realized what was happening, he fought back. He was younger, stronger, trained. The fight turned into something brutal and desperate, 2 men trying to survive in the darkness. Fatus took hits that would have dropped him a year ago, but pain didn't matter anymore. Nothing mattered except finishing what he started. He won because he had more to fight for. J.J. was fighting for his life, but Fatus was fighting for his brother, his mother, his shattered family. When it ended, J.J. lay in the grass gasping for air with his boxing dreams destroyed along with his legs. Fatus made sure of that. No more running. No more fighting. Just the rest of his life knowing he got what he deserved. The message carved into a nearby tree was the same: Marcus remembers. The 4th name took longer to find because the guy had left town after the incident. Terrell T-Bone Jackson heard about what happened to Ray Ray, Trigger, and J.J. He wasn't stupid. He knew someone was coming for the people involved that night, so he disappeared to Milwaukee, thinking distance would keep him safe. But Fatus was patient. He tracked T-Bone through social media, through mutual acquaintances, through phone records he shouldn't have been able to access but did thanks to a guy who worked at a cell phone store and owed him a favor. Milwaukee was a 3-hour drive. Fatus took a weekend, told his mother he needed time to clear his head, and made the trip with nothing but an address and determination. He found T-Bone working at a warehouse, living in a cheap apartment, trying to start over. Maybe T-Bone deserved that fresh start. Maybe people could change. Maybe violence only created more violence. These thoughts crossed Fatus' mind as he sat in his car watching T-Bone leave work. Then he remembered Marcus struggling to tie his shoes, frustrated to tears because his brain couldn't make his hands cooperate anymore. The doubt disappeared. T-Bone's punishment was methodical and calculated. Fatus had learned from each previous attack, refined his approach, eliminated mistakes. He struck fast and disappeared faster. By the time T-Bone's neighbors called for help, Fatus was already driving back to Chicago with the windows down, letting the cold air clear his mind. 4 down. One to go. The last name was the hardest because it belonged to someone unexpected. Marcus's memories kept improving slowly, and one night he said something that changed everything. He remembered a voice from that night, someone telling the others to stop, saying they had the wrong kid. Someone who tried to prevent it but failed. That person was Devin D. Williams, Ray's cousin, who wasn't a full gang member but hung around them. Devin tried to stop the beating but got pushed aside. He ran away instead of staying to help Marcus. That cowardice made him just as guilty in Fatus' eyes. Finding Devin meant confronting a moral question Fatus didn't want to face. Devin wasn't like the others. He tried to do the right thing, even if he failed. He lived with guilt that ate at him every day. Fatus watched him from a distance, seeing how Devin volunteered at a community center, how he mentored younger kids, how he was genuinely trying to make amends in his own way. But trying wasn't enough. Good intentions didn't bring Marcus back to who he was before. The final confrontation happened outside that community center on a Tuesday evening. Fatus didn't bring weapons this time. He just needed Devin to know that running away had consequences. They talked for the first time, really talked, about that night. Devin cried, apologized, explained how he tried to stop it. Fatus listened without emotion, then told Devin he had two choices: turn himself into the police and testify about what really happened, giving Marcus's case a chance at real justice, or face the same fate as the others. Devin chose to testify. Within a week, he walked into a police station with a lawyer and gave a full statement about the night Marcus was attacked. His testimony reopened the case, brought new attention to the investigation, and led to arrests of the surviving gang members who participated. Ray, Trigger, and JJ all faced charges. T-Bone was found and extradited back to Chicago. The wheels of justice finally started turning, not because the system worked but because Fatus forced it to work. The trial took 8 months. Devin's testimony was crucial, and despite defense attorneys trying to tear him apart, he stuck to the truth. Marcus attended every day of the trial with Fatus and their mother, watching the men who destroyed his life face consequences. The jury found them guilty on multiple counts. Ray got 15 years. The others got between 8 and 12. It wasn't enough for what they did, but it was something more than Fatus thought they'd ever get. Marcus slowly continued to improve. He'd never be exactly who he was before, but he learned to live with his new limitations. He got his GED, started taking classes at community college, found purpose in helping other traumatic brain injury survivors. Their mother smiled again, real genuine smiles that reached her eyes. The apartment didn't feel so heavy anymore, weighed down by grief and rage. Life started to resemble something normal, though the scars remained. Fatus never told anyone the full story of what he did. Detective Rodriguez had his suspicions, especially after Devin came forward and the pattern of attacks on the West Side disciples became clear. But no evidence connected Fatus to any of it. No witnesses, no DNA, no security footage. Just suspicions that couldn't be proven. Rodriguez pulled him aside after the trial, looked him in the eye, and said sometimes justice happens outside courtrooms. Then he walked away without another word. The auto shop promoted Fatus to manager. He enrolled in night classes to finish his degree. He started dating a teacher named Nicole who worked at Marcus's old high school and didn't know anything about his past. Life moved forward because that's what life does, even after we break ourselves trying to fix what's broken. Fatus carried what he did quietly, neither proud nor ashamed, just accepting it as the price he paid to give his family closure. 3 years after Devin testified, Fatus received an unexpected letter from Ray in prison. It was short, barely half a page, but it said that he understood why Fatus did what he did. That if someone hurt his family the same way, he probably would have done worse. That he was sorry about Marcus, truly sorry, and wished he could take it back. Fatus read the letter once, then burned it in the sink. Some apologies come too late to matter. If this story made you think about how far you'd go for the people you love, make sure you're subscribed to this channel because we bring you real stories about real people facing impossible choices. Justice isn't always clean, it isn't always legal, and it isn't always found in courtrooms. Sometimes it's found in the shadows by people who refuse to let the system fail them twice. Fatus got his revenge, his family got closure, and somewhere in Chicago, a man works at an auto shop carrying secrets that will follow him forever. That's the real price of chasing justice when the world looks the other way.